Okay, welcome back. Part 3. We're talking about resolution. We're talking about monitors, right? So monitors are made up of pixels, picture elements, and then we have aspect ratio. What kind of geometric shape, square, rectangle is the monitor, and then we have resolution, which is how many pixels are going to be on the screen. So common resolution is 1920 by 1080. That's high HD resolution, high definition resolution. And then we have 4K resolution, which is 2 times 1920 and 2 times 1080. So it's 3840 by 2160. And so even more pixels, right? And so we have aspect ratio, we have pixels, we have aspect ratio, we have resolution, and then we have bit depth. And so here you could see like a 1-bit image, and it's one of 2 colors, okay? And then here you could see, I don't know what that one is. You could see this one's a 2-bit image, so it could be each pixel could be one of 4 colors. So here's one of 2 colors, right? It's one color or the other color. Here's one of 4 colors. So that's 2-bit, it's 4 colors. Here's 4-bit, it's 16 colors. Here's 8-bit, it's 256 colors, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 256, 8, right? 256 colors, that's 2 to the power of n. So 2 to the power of 8 is 256 colors. And then here's 24-bit color, right? 24-bit color depth. And that's 16,777,216 colors. So that's what that looks like, right? So you could see a lot more. Doesn't really bring it in much more, but that you could see a lot more for the colors there. So that's resolution, that's monitors, and that's this part right there. So here's resolution, right? Width and height. We learned about color depth and bit depth. And 1 bit, 2 bits, 4 bits, and the different names. And so there you can see 24-bit is called true color. And if you have an image with bit depth of 1 and resolution of 1920 by 1080, how many bits to store that picture? It's 1920 by 1080, right? Whatever that works out to, like that's a whole lot. And what's 1920 by 1080 times 24 bits per pixel? That's even more bits to store the picture data without compression. All right, so you can get a whole bunch of monitors, connect them together. There's output devices like that. And then we have output devices like printers. So dot matrix is old school. Little pens, like a typewriter, would hit a ribbon with ink and then leave a dot. That's dot matrix. And then we have inkjet printers, which spray ink on the page, kind of like a spray can. And then we have laser printers, which use negative and positive forces. So they charge the paper one charge, like maybe negative, charge the ink positive, and they have this cloud of ink that the paper flies through. I don't know. And then the ink sticks to the parts. It's all about that. And then they fuse it. So the paper would be negative, the ink would be negative, and then they'd make the parts of the paper positive where they want the ink to stick. As it flew through that cloud, the negative, whatever I said, negative particles would attract to the positive parts of the page, and then it'd go through a little hot roller, which would then melt that plastic polymer or whatever of the ink onto the page where it was stuck. It's pretty amazing. That's how laser printers work. And then they have large format printers, portable printers, all kinds of stuff like that. So chapter 3 in the textbook, just to knock this out. Just see, this is where, right, what I'm talking about and what the textbook's talking about, we're kind of approaching it from slightly different angles. So you'll get kind of double. And I'll talk about the internet and all this stuff later, but I just kind of want to review it so you could have me here going through it with you. But chapter 3 is how the internet got its start, how data travels on the internet, the tools and technologies used to collaborate on the web, the technologies used to communicate over the web, collaborate, communicate, and how business is conducted using the internet, and summaries and precautions you should take when doing business online. So the internet started out as in the late 60s, and that's different than the World Wide Web. And the internet was created by the Advanced Research Project Agency. And so today that's called DARPA. And DARPA is a Defense Advanced Research Project Agency. And this is kind of like where all the secret agent stuff for defending our country and and also being on the offensive gets created. all kinds of technology, whatever it is, and for national security. And so they were concerned that if a nuclear war happened, communication would get broken, would get destroyed, and so they needed a new way of communicating that wasn't a switch network, packet switching. They created packet switching, and before they had, I can't remember the phrase right now because I'm tired, but they needed a new way to communicate, and so they created the internet, which used packet switching, and that allowed and routers, and that allowed if like one line in the communication got broken, then it could just find another route to its destination using a router. So it broke up the communication, put it onto a network of computers, and then let the computers figure out how to get that message to its intended destination. And so if there was a break in the network, it could find another route. So that's why the internet was started in the late 60s. And in the early 90s, the World Wide Web was created as a piece of software to run on the hardware, which is the internet. 92 or 93, the World Wide Web was created. How does data travel on the internet? It travels in packets, and there's an entire internet protocol, and protocols are rules of communication. And so it's called Transmission Control Protocol, Internet Protocol, TCP/IP. And also, if you look up here, well, let's just go to like here, you can see, well, if I copy that and then paste it, it says HTTPS, that's Hypertext Transfer Protocol, and it's secure, HTTPS. And so that's, one of the ways data's communicated. We'll see what the textbook says about this when we thumb down to that slide. Tools and technologies used to collaborate on the web. Well, like Zoom, right? We could video conference, or we could send email. So those are the tools. And describe how business is conducted using the internet. Let's see what the textbook says about this stuff. I mean, it's so broad. And then precautions you should take when doing business online. So you should always use your credit card whenever you buy something online, and not your debit card, because credit cards are protected by law. You as a consumer are protected under the Fair Credit Billing Act. And so the most you could lose is like $50, but most credit cards don't even worry about that, and they protect you. And so if you have a fraudulent charge, you just call the credit card company, say you want to challenge or contest a charge, and then you enter a process, you do the paperwork, it's pretty easy, and you're not responsible for it. So always use a credit card when you're buying stuff online, and always buy from secure or from websites that you know that are reputable, and always look for HTTPS, right, which means it's secure, right? Never buy anything if it's just HTTP. Pretty much everything today is HTTPS unless you're at a really old site. Explain what web browsers are and just describe their features. So this is a web browser, Google Chrome, right? This piece of software right here that I'm using. And so when I ask for a page like this page, what really gets sent over, so I could go up here and I could go to more tools, I go to developer tools, and it brings this thing up, and I could start to see like the code. This is the code that gets sent over to build this web page. And there's a whole lot of it. So I could even right click this web page and choose view page source. And so here's all the code that got sent over to build that web page. And so the browser looks through all that code and it creates this. So the browser interprets all this code that got sent to my computer and turns it into this. And so if you want to learn how to do that, you can take my other class, CIT15, which teaches you how to write this code and create websites like this. And so that's what a browser does. It allows you to browse the web. There's different browsers out there. Google Chrome is my favorite and industry standard, so I recommend that. It has the most market share. What is a URL? So this is a URL up here, and we'll see an example of its parts. Tools to navigate the web. Not sure what they'll talk about there. Types and tools used to search the web. Summarize strategies. We'll look at search. Describe how to evaluate a website to ensure it's appropriate to use for research purposes. And we'll look at that. Demonstrate an understanding of ethical issues, digital activism, and understanding of ethical issues, location tracking. Location tracking is mind-blowing. We'll look at that. So the internet and how it works, the origin of the internet. The internet is a network of networks. It's the world's largest network. and it connects all the different networks together. Not all of them, but a lot of them. It's established a secure form of communications. It's created as a means of communication for all computers. It came out of ARPA, Advanced Research Projects Agency. And the internet works with the client-server architecture. So clients ask for data, and then servers receive the requests and return the data, right? So that's architecture. We'll learn about that when we talk about networking. And every computer connected to the internet has an IP address, just like every house in America pretty much has an address, and you could find that house if you have the address. Likewise, every device on the internet has an address, an IP address. And so it's how computers identify each other. Websites have unique IP addresses, and there's text versions of IP addresses. So that means maybe that there are domain names. And so this domain name here, Wikipedia, when I enter it, it goes to a domain name server, which then figures out what the IP address is and gets me the information that I'm requesting from the IP address associated with Wikipedia. So just kind of like in our phones, we just push our friend's name and it calls our friend. Yeah, but really what happens is a number is dialed, right? So that our friend can be called. So to go to websites, we just enter the name of the website, but really what happens is we're being taken to a number. So just like our friend, we push our friend's name on our phone, it dials a number, we get taken to a number. Same thing when we put in the name of a website, we get taken to an IP number. My throat's sore from the smoke. Social networking, right? Facebook, LinkedIn, privacy precautions, be careful what you share. I've been very open with sharing. Project collaboration and file sharing tools. So Wikipedia, right? Collaborative web-based documents, wikis. Comes from Hawaiian, meaning quick, wiki. And project management tools, blogs, right? Video blogs, vlogs. I like Casey Neistat. I don't know if you watched his stuff. Podcasts, webcasts, media sharing platforms, all ways people are sharing stuff. Pretty amazing. I'm sure you could teach me stuff about, I don't know, what is it now? I can't think of the thing that TikTok. Email, right? So how people collaborate and communicate. Primary means of communication, written message sent received. It's asynchronous, meaning not at the same time. So I send it, you open it at a later time. Synchronous is like video conferencing. We got to be doing it at the same time. Or phone calls are synchronous. It's convenient. It's not private. There's etiquette considerations about how to send email. Don't reply to everybody. Limit your email to as few people as possible. I still get emails like where somebody replied to like 100 people that I work with. I'm like, dude, that didn't need to go to 100 people. Web-based email is pretty much what everybody uses now. You just log into a website and look at your email. But there used to be, and some people still use, a piece of software on their computer to get their email. Right? And then we could do communicating in real time, which is also synchronous, texting, instant messaging, video conferencing. That's voice over internet protocols, what VoIP stands for. Types of e-commerce business models. You could be a business that sells stuff to other businesses. You could be a business that sells stuff to consumers. You could be a business that allows consumers to sell stuff to consumers, like eBay, right? So different business models. Additional types of e-commerce, social commerce, mobile commerce, or m-commerce, whatever. Guidelines for shopping safe. Check for secure website, HTTPS, right? Use well-known reputable sites, pay by credit card, and look at their return policy if you're concerned about that, and avoid doing that at public computers. And here are browsers, right? Here's Google Chrome. That's the one you want to use. A couple other choices there for you if you, for whatever reason, don't like Google stuff. Some people don't. I drank the Kool-Aid, the Google Kool-Aid. It was good Kool-Aid. I liked it. Every website has a unique address. URLs. This is how you access stuff. This is URLs, right? There's the domain name, New York Times. There's the top level domain name .com. Here's the protocol. You want that to be HTTPS. This is a path to whatever you're trying to access. There's the protocols, rules of communication. It's how the computers talk to each other. We have rules of communication. We have communication protocols as humans. We have protocols for eating at the table, right? So computers have protocols for communicating too. It's like, what do they do in different situations? And so those are defined. And so the one for hypertext transfer is HTTP. So that's the domain stuff. And then we have hyperlinks, breadcrumb trails, history, tagging, right? So we could hit back. You know, one of my favorite ones is Control-Shift-T, where I could open up tabs that I had. So if I close this, right, and I'm like, oh, what was that? Control-Shift-T opens that tab back up. That's kind of a cool one, right? But those are some of those things. And you can bookmark stuff. Not everybody knows this. So I hit this little bookmark up here, and it'll remember whatever web page I'm at. And I could go over here and look at my other bookmarks, and I could go in there and manage my bookmarks. By coming up here, I could go to bookmarks, and I can manage them. So I could, see, so here are some of my bookmarks up here, right? And so you can bookmark pages by pushing that little thing. Hyperlinks are, just like, let me just go to Wikipedia. Hyperlinks are just, this is a hyperlink, right? It's a link that takes me somewhere. Hyperlink. That's why it's called Hyperlink Text Transfer Protocol, Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Search engine, right? So if you want to know how to search more effectively, Google search class certification course. Google Digital Garage, Google Cloud Training Courses, Google Skillshop, Power Searching with Google. So, yeah, you could take this class, Power Searching with Google, and you could get a certificate, and then you could add it to your resume, and it'll totally teach you how to search. The course is now open, Power Searching with Google, and you'll learn like advanced techniques, right? How to search more quickly. It's pretty great. I went through it. They have this one, they have advanced course. Maybe when you get through this one, you go through the advanced course. But check that out. That's pretty cool, Power Searching with Google. And so one of the things you might learn is like, Google advanced search, right? And there's this advanced search thing that you can do where you could enter stuff. Or you might be like Google Scholar, and you could search scholarly resources. Or you might be like, over here, there's like all this stuff about Google and all the different things they offer, including all these things down here. And so you might cruise through all that and, like, oh, Google Shopping, how does that work? Tilt Brush, never even heard of it. Stadia, never even heard of it, right? Like Google has all these other pieces of software that could help you do stuff. And so the way I got there was I clicked this little square up here, and then it brought me there. Usually that kind of brings me to apps, but maybe because I was in advanced search, let me see what happens if I do it up here. Yeah, so there, and then I could scroll down, and I could say more, right? More, and it'd bring me to more stuff. So that's how you get to that one. So that's searching and obtaining better search results. Take that class. Boolean operators, phrase, within a website. Advanced search will let you do all that. Evaluating whether or not something's a reliable source of information on the web. Not everything you read on the web is true. A lot of it's fake news. So one of the things you want to think about is, where is this coming from? What's the source? Is it a source of authority? Is it coming from somebody who might have bias? Right? Is it relevant? Is it recent? What's the audience that they're writing this for? So generally speaking, things you find on foxnews.com are going to be skewed towards Republicans and the right. And things you read on CNN are going to be skewed, or New York Times, or WAPO, Washington Post, are going to be skewed towards the left and liberals. And so there's a little bias there, and they're playing to their audience. And they're shaping articles and perspectives based upon what their audience wants to read, because they need their audience to subscribe and pay money, and that's their audience. And so what happens is we get filter bubbles. And so there's a different internet for everyone. And there's a great TED talk, TED Talk filter bubble, Eli Parser, Beware Online Filter Bubbles. So you could check that out. That's a good one to listen to. But it talks about how there's different internet for everybody. And what you see, has been crafted and tailored just for you. And it's to reflect what you're interested in, because you would not want to go to a website that showed you things you hated. They've learned what you like, and they're showing you things that you like. And so that could reinforce your own biases and give you a skewed perspective of the world. So we're no longer getting sort of neutral, bland, middle-of-the-road information, which we used to get from ABC, CBS, or NBC, which were the big three television stations, broadcasting networks nationwide. And they, by necessity, had to kind of present this middle-of-the-road, balanced view, because they were presenting it to everybody. So they couldn't just play to one side or the other side, because they'd offend half of the audience. And so that was great, because kind of everybody's on the same page and everybody's more moderate. But now, because everything can be customized and tailored to the individual, we get people who are getting these really skewed perspectives of the world. So it's kind of increasing radicalism, and it's increasing, people feel more intense about stuff. It's polarizing our country. It's polarizing. And then also, right, there's all this warfare, digital warfare now, where other countries are screwing with other countries digitally. Like they create software that, posts things on social media, or they have people posting things on social media just to kind of wreak havoc with countries they don't like. And so it's propaganda, it's mind control, and it's persuasion, and it's being used against enemies, right? Like I'm sure we're using it against countries we don't like, and countries that don't like us are using it against us. And so, when you see stuff online, it might just be totally false, created by somebody in another country to try to tear us apart, to put us at war with ourselves, right? So together we stand and divided we fall. And so if they could get us to hate each other, and if they could get us to be divided, then they don't need to come attack us. We'll just tear ourselves apart. And so in many ways, that's a really important social issue that is creating a lot of trouble. And you could watch videos about that, TED Talks, search for it. It's kind of a big deal. So always be skeptical of anything you read online. And the movie Disconnect trailer. The movie Disconnect trailer, right? The movie Disconnect kind of shows that. Digital activism, I don't know. Ethical question, whatever. Geolocation, smartphone. So, geolocation knows where you're at, right? Smartphones have a GPS chip. Your phone always knows where you're at. And, so they could market to you or track where you go and know what kind of stuff you're into, and what movie theater were you in, and what movie did you see, and who are you with, and like all that stuff. So pretty big. And it's getting pretty nuts in other countries. Like if you look at YouTuber, I just want YouTube. Just give me YouTube. Just take me to YouTube. Guy's name is YouTuber. That was awesome. So, like even here, you could learn something about me by what videos come up, because these are all tailored for me. And so, right, it tells you something about me, what videos are coming up as suggestions, right? You're seeing a profile of my personality right here. I don't know what that says about me. So, what are we here for? I brought you here because China social credit system. That's it. So there's this really fascinating thing, Chinese social credit system, where you should just watch one of these videos. Like here's Joe Rogan talking about devastating effect China's social credit system would have on America. like that's probably pretty interesting to listen to. Anyhow, check it out. All right, so that is week 3. That was a lot. And I'm ready for bed. I feel pretty wiped out. Thanks for tuning in. I will see you next week for week 4.